So welcome back to Who Would Win. Pre-recorded today on Tuesday because I won't have time to actually do these videos tomorrow today technically because I have to work. This one comes to us from Jane's Mox Trailers, who asked the question: Who would win a fight, the Crow or Blade? I recently had the Crow on Who Would Win. I put him up against Buffy. Blade, have I had Blade himself on this before? If I haven't, we have him now. The Crow, I can't remember his name. Hold on one second. What was the guy's name? The Crow. There we go, the Crow. What was his name? Eric Draven, that was his name. Eric Draven was murdered. I believe he was a rocker. His girlfriend I believe was raped and murdered. He was murdered, but brought back essentially as a legitimate physical embodiment of vengeance. And he went on a killing spree to take out the guys who did it. Now, as this basically resurrected version of Eric Draven, he's got the makeup and everything. He's pretty agile. He's good with a blade. He's good in most forms, like just killing you. Good for most forms of killing you. That didn't come out right. He's good with most forms of like a melee weapon. It's not like he's a master sword fighter or anything like that. But if he's 1 second here, Eric. Yeah, there we go. Characters. He's good. He's a solid hand-to-hand fighter. He's good with guns, blades, anything you can really put in his hand. He can kill you with. He's also pretty much invincible, and what I mean by that is he can't be damaged very long. He'll quickly regenerate from whatever damage is done to him. Does not need to eat. He does not need to eat or sleep and is incapable of feeling physical pain. His strength and endurance is now supernatural, though. But to be fair, it's not like he's not Hulk strength or anything like that. He's just physically enhanced, stronger than your average guy. He is able to see through the eyes of the Crow. The Crow is like an avatar for him, and basically use it for tracking. Superhuman agility, reflexes like a cat, heightened senses, night vision. Near invulnerability due to harm due to his ability to quickly regenerate, and cannot be harmed by conventional means if sustained in the act of fulfilling his vengeance. He is immune to sickness and decay and is unaffected by cider. Alcohol, or is that something that I'm not familiar with? Seems to have the power to heal others to some extent. One example is when he purged the morphine in someone's body by touching her. Eric's powers are tied to his Crow avatar, which watching him, the power subsides, the Crow avatar is destroyed. So you need to go after the Crow in order to really hurt him. There seems to be a limit to his healing ability, and at least in the comic. He slit his own wrist in a fit of despair. The wounds he inflicted upon himself would not heal, so he wrapped up his arms with electrical tape. He has tactile telepathy and empathy and is able to feel the emotions and see the memories of others by touching them. He can absorb and store these memories and emotions to transfer them to others, usually in a form of torture. And yeah, that's more or less what he brings to the table. Again, he's a very dangerous individual, but again, he has a few what's the best way to put it? He has a few exploitable weaknesses. His healing factor apparently does have some levels of limits. Something that I'm guessing, deals with emotional self-inflicting, like slitting your own wrists. He can't heal back from that, at least not initially. He's probably overconfident due to the fact he can normally not be damaged, or not damaged permanently, or for a extended period of time. And if you take out the Crow, you're pretty much going to take him out, because at that point his powers wane and he can pretty much be hurt regularly. Blade, the Daywalker, or the Daywalker, as Stephen Dorff would put it, or as Novak put it, Daywalker. Or hello, Daywalker. Daywalker. He is a human vampire hybrid. Now, his mother was bitten while he was still in the womb, and therefore he went under some physical changes. He has all their abilities, and he has all their power, strengths, and other weaknesses except for thirst. So he has basically all the physical enhancements of a human and a vampire, physically stronger, faster, tougher than a normal human. He can go toe-to-toe with any normal vampire. I don't know what exactly his real upper limits of physical strength are in the comics. In the And even in the movies, Blade's real physical strength isn't really played up much. We know he's stronger than your average person, but it's not like he can move, like throw a motorcycle with his one arm or something like that. Maybe in the comics he's a bit stronger. Um, but I mean, there's not much we can go off with that. Plus, in the comics, he is interpreted differently. Particularly if you go or in the Spider-Man animated series, he's got a freaking lightsaber. However, Blade is a master in physical combat. He's actually a skilled martial artist. A highly trained killer too, has a number of conventional and unconventional weapons for killing vampires. Constantly wears body armor and has a leather coat. Both are actually good for defense on some level. The body armor more so, but the leather coat can definitely be used to help him. He holds any number of firearms at any time, but he generally has a set of like rapid fire pistols on him. Usually silver. Mostly silver. So I can already tell you, in the fight where these two, or in the scenario where these two actually fight, Blade's going to confuse him for a vampire. But yeah, silver bullets. He has multitude. Blade has blades. Specifically, a couple that stand out is that one, that retractable knife whip he had in the third one, that boomerang blade that he just kind of that he kind of just goes throws and just kind of moves in a certain moves around in a certain area or a certain way. It can follow a line of path of sight almost, like when he does it around like a circular room, it will just swing back to him. And of course, he also has his sword, which I believe is titanium acid etched, and it also has that timer on it, which can chop your hand off if you're not careful. So again, in the scenario where these two are fighting, let's say Eric is getting, well, actually, oddly enough, they're both named Eric. So let's say Draven, the Crow, is getting revenge on someone. He actually ends up taking a vampire out, not realizing who he was until he stabbed him in the heart and he turned to dust. Like, what the hell? And then Blade shows up, seeing this guy's all like supernatural and shit. And it's like, what happened? Who are you? It's like, it doesn't matter who I am. Who are you? I asked you first. And then you get a little interaction. Neither of them really getting much information. And Blade just sees him. He looks all like, he sees that he's not normal, and he fires at him. And, Draven gets out of the way, but pretty quick. But he still gets shot, but ultimately it doesn't do much at all. He's generally fine. And it comes in, it's like appears on the, Blade, turns the corner behind a dumpster, and then Eric's just on top there, just, oh, that wasn't very nice. Then kicks the gun out of Blade's hand. He tries to take on Blade. However, Blade is, I will say Blade is probably the physically stronger and tougher and better equipped and better fighter than Eric is, or the Crow is. So, Eric will try to maybe gets the jump on Blade initially, but Blade quickly just quickly overtakes him, just martial arts style, and just breaks his arms. But again, he can't feel pain until the Crow's killed. So breaks his arm, just smacks him down, just puts a couple bullets in his head and starts to walk away. All of a sudden, his senses kind of pick up, like, what? He's gone. He realizes that he's gone. Just realize he needs to take this a bit more seriously, though he always takes his job seriously. But he realizes that this guy's different. Pulls out his sword, and he's now just waiting on him. And then the Crow's just kind of like, And then he just kind of tried to get the jump on again. However, Blade just the washing machine slices him, or almost slices him in half. He basically takes his hand off, which he grabs him and reattaches his hand. They're going toe to toe again, but Blade's again more or less the stronger of the two. The problem is Blade doesn't initially have anything that would put him down, because really the only thing that would work is like something like magic or something that would disintegrate him to nothing, or things that are just not conventional weapons. All Blade actually has conventional weaponry. So in the initial and mid part of the fight, Blade's going to really be struggling with him just because he can't keep this guy down for very long. So at one point he basically just stabs him right through the chest, and uses a couple other of his blades and just keeps his arms there, kind of almost like Jesus on the cross. And he even makes them as like, "Oh, crucify me for your sins." And then he's trying to get off. He's struggling to get out. Just, "No, you're gonna stay there, and you're gonna tell me what the hell's about. I'm the crow. You can't hurt me. You can't hurt vengeance." And I will get vengeance. I will get vengeance. And then, Crow maybe even starts to like go, "Caw, caw," try to get in Blade's face. Blade just poof, shoots the Crow. And at that point, that happens, and he's like, what? No. And then all of a sudden, the pain is actually starting to set in because he is stabbed. He's starting to come. What did you do? And then Blade realizes that he shot the Crow, and that must have been some sort of like key to his abilities. And he then decides to just put a couple shots in his head for good measure, and then takes a sword out of his chest and then takes his head off for ultimate measure and puts him down. See, this is the second time I've had the Crow on here, and I'm not going to spoil how that fight went, but in the initial one. But the Crow is, the top dog in his own universe because there's really no other supernatural elements going on in his own universe. When you put him up against someone who has supernatural abilities, you immediately put him at somewhat of a disadvantage because he has a very exploitable weakness in that Crow avatar of his. And Blade is just used to he's taken on Deacon Frost, who had a regeneration factor probably as strong as the Crow. It's just that he also had an exploitable weakness in his vampire DNA with the DDX. And then, Novak, still a vampire. Dracula, still a vampire. Blade's taken on individuals far tougher than the Crow. The only thing that the Crow has is a high-level regeneration that would be impossible for Blade to put down in the initial part of the fight. But once Blade just gets rid of the Crow, which I do believe he would, Blade would take the fight. So I'm going to go... I guess the question is there a way that the Crow wins? Assuming that if the Crow avatar were to stay out of his Blade's way and stay out of his trajectory, stay out of his line of sight and basically not get itself killed, in theory, the Crow could tire out Blade. Blade's got a lot of stamina, not even like Wolverine level stamina or Spider-Man level stamina if he had to, but he's got a lot of stamina to him. I will say that there is a 10% chance, and I think I'm being nice on that the Crow could just tire out Blade in the long run and steal one of his weapons and maybe get a headshot or cut his throat or something, but I don't think that's a likelihood. I don't think it's a high probability. But what do you think? Put in the comments below. Thank you for watching, though. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. As always, if you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review of it at some point. Ideas for who would win, Star Wars, Superhero, Magic, What If, anything I do on the channel, put that in the comments below as well. I'll get to that at some point. It's the week of What If, and the What If will be up later today. So thanks for watching, and see you next time, folks.